Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Championship Check-In podcast, our weekly look at the greatest division in the world with surely the greatest EFL pundit in the world, Mr. Sam Parkin, and some YouTuber in the other corner. Sam, how you doing, fella?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, really good. Fatigued, as always, this stage of the week. Thursday's my day with the boys at Chelsea Blackburn last night. So
interesting.
Still feels like I'm playing sometimes. Do you know what I mean? When you have a few late nights during the week, feel like you're hungover, don't you? Especially the amount of junk food that I throw down my trap in the early hours. But yeah, that was interesting last night at the Bridge. So if there's any Blackburn fans watching, please pose me a question later on in the show, and I'll do my best to give you a balanced critique of what I witnessed last night. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah. Make yourself known if you are in the chat right now, live on YouTube. We're here every Thursday live from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. Thank you for everyone who comes to join us live. Get involved in the debate. Get your reaction to everything we say in the comments. We'll put as many up as we can during the show. And of course, you can contribute during the Q&A section as well. Thank you to everybody who listens after the fact. And Sam, I'm quite excited about this. We're going to go through the review of round 14, but I'm quite high on the fixture list for round 15, I have to say. I think there's a few humdingers in there. There's going to be a reason to say lamb bastard at some point now. Pronounce that in quite a sweary way then.
Yeah, that's
lamb bar steward.
Revokes memories of me saying Dean Windass on the Windass, sorry.
Oh, okay.
On the TV, and I knew straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I knew it, and I think actually one of the producers on ITV got in my ear straight off the bat and was like, "Josh, who? Sorry, not Dean. Josh, who?" And I was like, "Oh no." Oh,
Meltdown
no.
incoming.
Yeah.
Right, let's bang through these results and then we will go to Parkin's pick. Hello to everyone in the chat. Great to see you all in there. Get that debate going. Get the comments going. Please hit the like button. As well, on Saturday, Sam, 2 early kickoffs. It was Leeds 4, Huddersfield 1, Southampton 3, Birmingham 1. Parachute mobilising there in the top 4. Blackburn 0, Swansea 1, a Cullen curler. Cardiff 2, Bristol City 0, which has some implications which we may be about to talk about. Hull 1, Preston 0. Would that be player to watch Jaden Philogene again with another goal? It would. Ipswich 3, Plymouth 2. I was there. Middlesbrough 0, Stoke 2. Stoke with a perfect 9-point week. QPR 1, Leicester 2, which again had implications. Sunderland 3, Norwich 1, which might have implications going forward. Watford 2, Millwall 2. On Sunday, by God, Sheffield Wednesday won a football match. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Rotherham 0. And on Monday night, Coventry again didn't win a football match. West Brom's good season continues. Coventry 0, West Brom 2, which tees us up very nicely as we go to Parkin's pick. Sam, what do you want to discuss to start the show?
I don't know if we've discussed the title for it, but I want to discuss the wonderful managerial merry-go-round or managerial madness, or in the case of QPR, managerial masterstrokes.
Oh, here he goes. Here he goes. Before we do this, Sam, should we just make our public apology to the Stoke fans? And Stoke are very, 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 very unlucky not to be Parkin's pick this week. Incredible week for Stoke. But just in terms of the news cycle, Sam, just incredible. So before you get going, what we've had in recent weeks, we've had Cisco out. Then we had Eustace out and Rooney in. Then we had Roll in at Sheffield Wednesday. Then we had Rower out at Millwall. Then we had Ainsworth out at Bristol City. And then we had Cifuentes in at QPR. We still have 2 jobs open. Just a mad week, Sam. Let's focus in on QPR and Bristol City.
Yeah. Ainsworth was the first one to break, wasn't it? And quite swiftly. What was it? 48 hours later, we had this chap announced, and I've watched his announcement video on QPR's Twitter, and it's Fifuentes. I'll have you
I'm
know.
not doing that. I
Are
can't
you
do
not
that.
doing it?
I can't do it, Sam. I can't
Nah.
speak Spanish, can
Yeah,
I? I come from Ipswich, for God's sake.
it's a sieve, if ever I've seen
Say
one,
it
isn't it?
again.
Fifuentes.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing. There's no way I'm doing that. I'd rather just get pelters for
he's
not
a
being
sieve,
right.
and he's a sieve. He's sieve all day long over here. My immediate reaction, I was actually in doing an hour with Hugh Wizencroft on TalkSport 2, and I'd just done like a 3 or 4 minute monologue about the return of Neil Warnock. It was glorious. And Hugh was like that. Like pointing over my shoulder at the screen. It worked because my consensus was, hey, there's still room for Neil in February, March if this goes belly up.
Oh God!
He only wants to do the 8 weeks.
Well, they had 3 managers last season, didn't they?
That was my genuine take on it, though. When I saw Neil Warnock to be rumoured, sorry to digress early doors here, but when I saw him to be rumoured, I remember clear as day him doing a presser, maybe when he was taking on the Huddersfield gig, or maybe in the wake of him leaving, and said, 8 weeks is what I want to do. That's me. You know, I enjoy being at home with a family or whatever, or doing other things now that he's in semi-retirement, and he'll come back for 8 weeks. That's all he wants to work. So watch this space. But obviously, it feels like a massive risk because already, you know, when I've done a little bit of digging and listened to some stuff, feels like there's going to be an enormous sea change in terms of the style of football.
What's that going to look like, Sam?
Well, I think they're going to want to have the ball for a start. Music to my ears to hear that he rates Chris Willock. You know, it seems so obvious to me that he's going to have to try and reintegrate him in. And whether it was more a clash of styles with the previous manager and getting Willock in the team, or a clash of personalities, we'll never probably know. But QPR's chance of staying in the division and climbing the table is a dance up better with him in the side. So that's really encouraging. Wanting to have the ball, dictate proceedings, wanting to outscore the opponent, not sit back on leads, close down from the front, high turnovers. Say again.
What's a lead?
Yeah, indeed. He's talking about the away games. He's talking about when they go to Cardiff or Middlesbrough next season, potentially, if they can stay in the division. But do you know what? I know it's a gamble, but there's loads of time in the season, and he's got a few weeks to play with, isn't he? If it goes horribly wrong in the short term, there's still plenty of games to go. I would have been, pretty excited about this appointment had it come in the summer. Obviously, I'm a little bit reluctant to go too big in on it. I understand from a good source, you like this when a sentence starts with this, he was on the shortlist before they appointed Mick Beale. So
interesting.
Yeah, someone, whether in a advising capacity or someone still at the club, has probably had him on the shortlist. So this hasn't come completely from left field. I understand. He talks really, really well, pretty much perfect English. Seems to be a really good communicator in the interviews that I've seen. So, pretty excited, I would say, all in all. What say you, mate?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is thank you to Coniston. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce this one. I'll just say Anthony there because I'm not having to get that second name, for the 2 super stickers there in the chat. I kind of thought, well, why not? They've tried everything else. They've tried the resuscitating the big name in Steve McLaren. Mark Warburton was a kind of known quantity. Mick Beale was the coach with the big reputation. Neil Critchley just kind of happened to be available at the time when Mick Beale left, and Gareth Ainsworth was the complete change of style and the ex-player, wasn't he? So we said a lot go for these kind of career coaches. I mean, it's almost kind of helpful for the likes of you and me that we know nothing about this guy's body of work, because you can almost then, Sam, you can judge it on, right, what's the situation? What's the QPR squad look like? Because even if we don't know the manager, we know the Championship. And as you point out, there's plenty of games to get to that 45 points, 45 to 50 points. I wonder whether it might be lower this season. We've had this discussion before. If the bottom 4, perhaps, as you suggested, Sam, might get a little bit left out to dry. So I'm open to it. And I completely agree with you. It's going to be binary. It's either masterstroke or incomes.
I like that he spent a bit of time working in the youth system at Millwall way back
where
when. Did you read that? Yeah, it was good fun.
Along with Ajax,
Yeah, good fun. And one of the other things I pulled out of one of the articles was getting the average age down at Hammarby, wasn't it, his last club, from 28 to 24. So, yeah, I don't know. There's things within the makeup of QPR right now that's not been working for a number of years. And it's exciting. I think it's the type of appointment I would have championed probably when Mark Warburton left, if I'm being completely honest.
The final image on there, we will move on to Bristol City and Millwall a bit now. Amit Bhatia is now gone as the chairman. So this whole transition this season with Les Ferdinand, Tony Fernandez, Amit Bhatia, Steph Johansson, Gareth Ainsworth as well, the definite wind of change there. Just as a conversation starter, and don't need to explain it to me in the comments, guys. I understand that a betting odd is a liability for the betting company, not a probability of something happening. But for the next permanent Bristol City manager, wow, that is short. Frank Lampard, 4-1 on with John Eustace, Luke Williams, Curtis Fleming, Gary Rowett, Neil Harris. These are probably going to be the same names when I flip over to the next permanent Millwall manager, where Nathan Jones is 2-1 on with Joe Edwards. Serves you right for Muscat. Mick Beale's in there. John Eustace on both lists. Neil Warnock, Steve Bruce, Adam Barrett. So the headlines there. Talk to me about Bristol City first, Sam, because that one was a bit divisive on sort of social media with a lot of Bristol City fans kind of saying, well, turning a bit on Steve Lansdowne rather than Nigel Pearson and, sort of saying, well, he might be a bit hard done by them. What's your take?
Well, I haven't loved some of the stuff that's come out of the club subsequently, I would say. I don't know. It feels on the face of it that he's done a pretty good job there, stabilising through quite choppy waters. I've always had a bit of a disappointment that Bristol City have not made further strides in the last few years. I felt that when they came up to the Championship, initially with the stadium, with the new training ground, I don't know when that came into fruition actually, or when that was finalised. But the infrastructure of the club has always seemed to be on a really good footing to make that kind of dive for the Premier League, and it's not happened. They had the season, didn't they, when they probably overspent or certainly went quite big on some signings. They've consistently produced a lot of academy players. Well, maybe that was the plan, at some time.
Very good, that pathway, isn't it?
Yeah, sometime over the last 5 years, maybe they went away from, bringing in more expensive signings and thought that would be enough to carry them through. I think latterly there's been a real inconsistency there. I think during spells, Ashton Gate's been problematic to get consistent wins there. I think they're short this season, probably in the forward positions. That's probably always been a bit of a concern of mine. I know they've got Conway, who's a terrific finisher, but I don't think there's enough there.
Since Tammy.
Yeah, since Tammy, maybe. Then there was Juju, wasn't there? Who else have they had? Bobby Reed in a multitude of roles. Nike Wells seems to be been there for decades. So there's a frustration within because despite being an ex-Swindon player and us having a good rivalry when I was there wasn't a lot between the two sides. I've always quite admired Bristol City and hoped that they were going to make the transition into the Premier League due to all the reasons I've just stated, infrastructure, stadium. And for whatever reason, the chemistry has never quite been there with the squad or never left me believing that it was actually going to come true. So, yeah, it feels like the writing was on the wall here. The lack of a contract that wasn't forthcoming for Nigel Pearson. The comments recently sounds like they've been touting the job and speaking to interested parties or people they were interested in speaking to. So part of the way is probably right for Nigel Pearson now. But disappointing in the way that it ended really with such bad injuries, such difficulty getting a team good enough really to compete in the Championship out on the pitch. I think 5 defeats in his last 7. The result's not great, but I think there's been mitigating circumstances and he can count himself pretty unlucky, really.
I just want to quickly read out Dave's super chat there, just taking it back to QPR. We'll go on to Millwall in a sec, Sam. Thank you, Dave, for the super chat. But Batty has stepped down. Who's in as chairman now? So I didn't realise that he's stepped up into Batty as chair. Emphasis on producing young players, signings in January. Dave, thank you as ever for the support. And it looks like possibly, Sam, Millwall are going to be the first of the 3 recent clubs to fire and possibly the last to hire, if my hunch is kind of right. And I know Nathan Jones seems to, well, I'm going to swear, boil the piss of football fans up and down the country, but I think that'd be quite a good fit, to be honest.
Yeah, can I just go back to the Bristol City thing just for a moment?
Yeah,
it was interesting that Brian Tinian, who's the technical director now, who was in that Bristol City side that I used to play against, talking about, having a real clear identity now at Bristol City. And yeah, I would have probably said they're quite high energy, a lot of young lads, quite counter-attacking away from home. But hearing him speak in such detailed terms about the philosophy there now and what they're looking to recruit and stuff like that, despite the disappointment, it should be excitement, I think, for the Bristol City fans looking forward now, with a bit of a blank canvas. Hopefully, if they're not too close to the wall in terms of finances, maybe with a bit of room to maneuver in that regard, I'd be really excited. If I was a fan and seeing some of those names on the list, yeah, absolutely. Millwall, I've seen a comment come up already. Sorry, the chat has disappeared, but asking about Joe Edwards. So I'll come on to Joe in a minute because obviously I know Joe Edwards pretty well. Who's
you do?
Very short in the market at the moment for Millwall manager.
Well, how do you know him?
Just from his Chelsea academy.
Ah, okay.
And subsequently worked with Lampard, obviously.
Great having you on the show, Sam. I love it.
Yeah, worked with Lampard at Chelsea, and then Lampard took him to Everton. So he was one of these chaps that didn't quite make it as a professional at Chelsea, but had a really good relationship with Neil Bath, who heads up the academy, subsequently moved higher actually at Chelsea within the last couple of years. Joe's one of his...
Sometimes those guys, Sam, have got so much fire in them to then become a coach, haven't they?
Yeah, he's one of Neil's prodigies, really. And he's done fantastically well. Really, really good guy, very diligent. Yeah, he was really exciting when he was in charge of the academy at Chelsea. I mean, Tammy Abraham probably would have been in Joe's team or maybe slightly before. But yeah, Joe's a good guy, really good guy. A little bit surprised to see the link because he's working with England in the youth setup now, I think. But yeah, to see him go out on his own would be really interesting. And yeah, I can't talk highly enough of him. Nathan Jones, I don't know if it's just the demeanor, but it seems that it might work, mightn't it?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's so passionate, isn't he? He's so animated on the touchline. I can't really think back to... It's a
unique seat that to sit in as well, Sam.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone of that kind of ilk really in recent times at Millwall. Maybe Neil Harris would have been the closest. He's quite animated, Neil, but very different from Gary Rowett, very different from Kenny Jackett. I don't know who was there previously off the top of my head. You had Holloway, didn't you? That would probably be quite close, but that was a mess. So the Nathan Jones one, I can see the merit in it. Certainly the style of play and stuff like that. I don't know. Do you think there's just maybe a wariness of an owner taking the plunge with Nathan Jones after the last couple of jobs and maybe some of the stuff he's said off the pitch?
That's the gamble, though, Sam. You're a championship club. You don't get a guarantee unless you're one of the parachute teams. There's got to be some element of a gamble, hasn't there? But I accept what you say as reasonable. But who are you going to get? Who's a guarantee? And
no,
you don't know if you get the. We said this about Chris Wilder, didn't we? If you get the Chris Wilder that Sheffield United got, then everyone would hire him. But if you get the Chris Wilder that Middlesbrough got, nobody would hire him.
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many negatives in that. Or, the only one is maybe the Millwall fans, thinking he's a bit of a wally at times. But you think that with every manager, don't you? When you support a club, when they come out with something that you don't necessarily agree with post-match, pre-match. But, the passion, they're very front-footed, aren't they, Nathan Jones's teams, I would suggest. So you're not going to have the criticism of him setting up to take a point at the Den. You know, he's going to go and win every game. The ball goes forward quite often, quickly. Latterly, that's certainly been his style. I know they were a bit different when they played the Diamond at Luton, a little bit more probably possession heavy, and had those brilliant wing backs, didn't they? Brilliant fullbacks, sorry, Stacey and Justin. So, yeah, I'm not saying he's going to replicate that. I think, you know, in his last couple of seasons or whatever it was at Luton, they were very front-footed, getting it into the front too, which would suit, wouldn't it, down at the Den? So I could definitely see the merit in that one. It's just strange that it's not been done by now.
We're going to see. I've done my bold predictions today, Sam, and I've said the managers will be named, if not in the dugout, by the weekend. Anyway, we are 20 minutes in, and we've only done Parkin's pick. So let's.
We haven't done QPR. Sorry, everyone.
Let's move this on, and it's time for, if I can click the right button, Worldie of the Week. Get your shouts in the comments for Worldie of the Week from the last round. I might have been there in person for Worldie of the Week, Sam, bearing in mind the goal I saw very early in the Ipswich versus Plymouth game. We'll let the comments fill up a little bit with your Worldie of the Week shouts. Keep them coming in the chat. By the way, make sure you do hit like if you're watching on YouTube, and 5-star review if you are an audio podcast listener. Sam, who have you gone for?
I have gone for the only goal of the past 7 days, mate. Ruben Colwill, Cardiff.
Ruben Colwill. So I was referring to Morgan Whittaker. Should we give an honourable mention to Jaden Philogene as well before you go on to... And what I like about these goals we're talking about, all wide players dribbling in and finishing.
Yeah, and one other omission there, mate. Harry Winks. Well, that was against my lot.
I'm at the point now, Sam, we only mention Leicester if they do something really... It needs to be 10 yards further out now, and they need to have won 5-0 for me to even mention Leicester now, although we're going to talk about it later in the show, aren't we? Talk to me about Colwill's goal then.
Mad, isn't it? That QPR actually could have got a point, and we probably wouldn't have had that first 20 minutes of the show, would we? Ruben Colwill, do you know what? I'm going for the aesthetic first. The socks rolled down. Quite a peculiar build, I would say, for a kind of midfield player as well. It looks more like a centre-half or a centre-forward, doesn't he? He's strapping young lad, isn't he? What, 6'2"? So quite a unique kind of profile, I would say, for a crafty midfielder. I thought it was an exceptional goal. I had to slow it down and have a little look this afternoon. It's a drag, then a step over, isn't it? Little drag, quick little step over through the two players. I was going to name check them. The names have escaped me now. Who was it now? Can't remember.
The Bristol City lads will tell us in double.
Yeah. I was laughing anyway at one of their reactions. And then I just think one of the most forever in my mind, since I was a young kid, one of the most beautiful sights is the ball just being roofed. Just unceremoniously roofed. I just used to roof it, like in the park, kicking about with my mates. And I loved the flailing arm of the City goalkeeper as well was good fun as well. So, yeah, I thought it was an outstanding goal. Really, really good. And, yeah, capped a very comfortable win. For some reason, I went for City to win, didn't I? Bristol City at Cardiff. I went a bit early there because it was unknown to me just how bad the injury crisis was going into this game. But it looked like Cardiff won at a canter. I think Bristol City only had maybe the one or two attempts on the target, and I was keeping across it. I actually was on the way back from a game and had the luxury of having half an hour in the pub watching the results come in, which was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. So I saw the second one go in, which obviously capped the win, and I thought it was a superb goal. And he's a really talented young player, isn't he?
Doesn't start, does he? Baloo doesn't start him. He's off the bench every game, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just stalled a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, Mick McCarthy started him, and then he got the contract. Excuse me, in the pandemic. But there's something Baloo's not buying yet. But it's not to say that won't change. He's definitely got the talent. He's been in the Welsh squad as well, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. And I thought it was, important that we gave Cardiff a little bit of love after the last week, and defensively very sound. I think they're averaging maybe under a goal a game or just over a goal a game that they're conceding. So that's really good going. And I like what they've done in the forward positions. Again, quite simplistic from me, but really good Championship experience, reliable forward players. And it probably wouldn't work if they were to be promoted. If that was to happen, if they were to stick around the playoffs and somehow make it up with the squad they've got right now, I think a lot of those players would probably be bought to, like a lot of teams, but to try and make that step.
Under embargo, frankly, as well.
Yeah, so, but I like it. And the two Greek players that have come in, Siopis and Gutas, sorry. Oh, masterstrokes. Second masterstroke of the show today. I mean, those two have been outstanding. I think McGuinness has had a brilliant start to the season as well. So, yeah, just to give Cardiff a bit of credit, because I wouldn't have anticipated them being sixth. And yeah, they've had some tough games as well. Some tough games.
Lots of credit there. Let's flip the script, Sam, because it's time to go to cause for concern. Feels like we've been avoiding this one for a while, but Monday night has finally crystallised now that Coventry City are going to be our cause for concern, Sam. I'm still not buying them as a 20th place team, but I might have to renege on my 5th place prediction. And I don't know if you watched Monday night, but it's a bit hapless, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it still felt that everything that could go wrong in a football match did in this 90 minutes, though. One-on-one miss. Sorry if this isn't in the correct order, but Haji Wright missed that sitter, goalkeeping error. Should have had a penalty. Yeah, handball quite early on, I think.
It's a great one, yeah, but could have had a penalty for sure, yeah.
Yeah, pretty unlucky with some of the finishing and some of the decisions. But yeah, I had a little dig about. I've seen a lot of it on social media, and I think the chances are being created, aren't they? And obviously I saw Haji Wright early part of the season, and I thought he looked really bright. His movement looks really good. And that does seem to feel like that's the general consensus still.
And what a big moment. He's through 1v1 at 1-0 down. Got to score that. And then everything you're saying to me now is probably different.
Yeah. And he telegraphed it a little bit, but it would have been a nice finish. I think he sent the goalkeeper Palmer in the opposite direction. I saw a tweet earlier which was quite amusing, because I think they are 10th for big chances created, yet 3rd for big chances missed. 24, I think it is. And yeah, I mean, Godden 7, Sims 6, Wright 6.
So these are the big chances missed,
these are the big chances. Right. So yeah, a little bit of confusion, I think, in some of the exchanges I saw, because obviously I think balls that are ricocheted or knockdowns from corners that come off your.
Oh yeah, not all goals have an assist. Yeah,
yeah. So that'll be the reason for that. But when you're looking at them 8th, I think, for expected goals, yet 16th for goals per match, it's not happening for any of the forward players at the moment. I think Sims has just got the brace at Rangers, hasn't he? That's it for him so far. Godden's not scored in 7 appearances. To everyone you speak to at Coventry, who follows Coventry, say he is far and away the best finisher. So he's having a real barren spell. I think Sheaf is dropped off. I don't know if that's because he hasn't got Hamer with him anymore.
From a high bar, you would say.
Yeah. And I think I have been a massive fan of McFadden, his journey, what he's still been able to produce the last few seasons. But I don't know whether he's missing those 2 brilliant loanees from last season, but he seems to be having a bit of a drop off as well. So, and the goalkeeper as well, I think you could question him the other night. So it's not, all down to the forward players, but need to wait for O'Hare to come back. I really like Sakamoto when I saw him as well.
Yeah, he's got a lovely magnetic first touch, hasn't he?
Really good, lovely balance. But
he's not a striker though, and they're kind of playing him off the front there in your box midfield, aren't they?
I think he's yet to score and yet to assist, though. He needs to start getting some numbers on the board. Otherwise, Mark Robins possibly can't get him in. But the thought of him and O'Hare maybe dual pronged behind one of the aforementioned strikers, that might be the way he has to go if you've got three of them misfiring. So yeah, not scored in three straight defeats, not one in four. I backed Mark Robins, didn't I, to turn it around?
Yeah, I would back him too. Actually, I'd endorse that point.
Yeah, and you'd think that there's been so much activity and such an outlay in transfer fees that some of these will come good. But Preston away at Deepdale at the weekend, I think this is a winnable game, but a pretty nasty one at that.
I was going to say, we'll wait for the predictions. That's a 1-0 either way, isn't it?
I just think if this goes the wrong way, that faith and that optimism that I have, read in various quarters this week, and the majority still, back in the manager who had them, one kick away from, well, two kicks, one kick save, you know what I mean, away from the Premier League. Yeah, it might be the majority, mightn't it? That are questioning maybe what's going on.
It might indeed. Right, we've got to get to this week, but we've got one more thing to do before we can talk about the next round of fixtures. And not necessarily one of my favourite topics, but one of our most regular topics is coming up in the meltdown moment. Right, we don't want to give him too much airtime, do we? Bless him. And I'll preface this by trying to be a nice, empathetic human. And I'm sure Mr. Chansiri has his own challenges in life and is not trying to be a hapless club owner. But Sam, our meltdown moment is following on from their first win of the season. Just this bizarre interview where this unpaid HMRC bill that was reported on Friday, which comes with a transfer embargo. I know, obviously, we're outside of the transfer window being open. And this bizarre response of, well, if you want to support your club, if I don't know what the maths is, was it 2,000 if you pay 100 quid? Does that add up to 2 million? Then it's all paid. So we have that, and then we have another statement, Sam.
20,000, I think it was, mate. Yeah, you got it there in the last paragraph. 20,000 pay a one each.
I didn't do well at school, other than music. Yeah. Maths wasn't good. I explained there is a big difference between cash flow and cash in the bank. Thankfully, as far as we are concerned, the issue is now resolved. What was the purpose then of this silliness of putting it out to the fans? And this is either side of the first win in 14 rounds this season and the new manager's first win. I know this is not new ground, but what is your take on? And again, I'm trying to come as empathetic, but this is just buffoonery from Mr. Chansiri, isn't it?
With the price of tickets and, well, especially at Hillsborough, right? Did they have, is it 30,000 they get at Hillsborough the other day? It was not 40, is it?
It was a big number, wasn't it?
And an enormous gate, and they've got the highest ticket pricing in the championship, right? And it's been an absolute mess so far this season. So the supporters are still coming out. I was just going to say, to get the supporters that are playing the highest ticket prices in the division, arguably, to watch them at Hillsborough, have got to take kids and pay for replica shirts and what have you. To get 20,000 people to serve up an additional £100 during the climate right now, I mean, that is very optimistic. I'm cancelling apps and like TV subscriptions like they're going out of fashion at the moment to save myself £4 a month. I think asking people for an additional £100 to bail out the club was a little bit cheeky, to be honest. And I don't know his terminology, but cash flow issues and things change quickly. I don't know if they change that quickly. Blimey.
well, over a weekend, Sam.
Yeah, he's got a very agreeable bank manager wherever he was talking to, because it spends me days to do anything. So to be able to finance the wages and the tax bill or whatever it was in such a quick speed turnaround seems a little bit shady, doesn't it?
Sam, we all have a laugh about it, but just to wind up, excuse me. This is a great club with what looks like a very rich but very emotional owner, and you just do worry about what if he really throws his toys out of the pram and just.
Yeah, I
throws his
just
hands
think.
up and downs tools.
Yeah, I just think that the fans can just do without it. It's making them a little bit of a laughing stock, isn't it? I would suggest, and it's interesting you mentioned the potential embargoes if this hadn't have been settled and what have you. And I was thinking about it earlier. With my players hat on, that does ultimately start to have an effect as well. Because if they're potentially going to get relegated this season and then they can't sign players, people have their heads turned, people don't want to be there anymore. I've spoken a lot about one of the Luton Town dressing rooms that I was part of, not when I initially joined the club and not latterly, but somewhere in the middle when we had all the financial difficulties, the points deficits and what have you, late wages. People have to look after their families, look after their futures. And when you have that, you get a broken dressing room in terms of people wanting out, people looking after number one. There's very few, even the homegrown lads, that were able to stay through that and prosper afterwards with Luton's rise up the division. So I think that's potentially the knock-on effect for players at Sheffield Wednesday. So thankfully they've avoided that right at the moment. But yeah, it's a massive concern, isn't it, moving forward? You just, the one positive is that they've won a game, and similarly to Fuentes at QPR, I'm quite big on old Danny Roll after one. I just like it. I just, quite often when a job comes up, that's what I'm kind of looking for. Just something a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm just, yeah, I was going to say a product of a new wave of football. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Want the same names really churned out. That's why I feel a little bit alive about QPR ahead of the 1-0 defeat at Rob.
We're not done the predictions yet. Right, Sam, we still haven't caught up any minutes on this, but I'm enjoying it. I hope you're all enjoying it in the chat. We're now going to move on to look at round 15. And as I read through these, and this may be a pointless exercise because there's one that jumps off the page, but let us know what your mouth-watering matchup is ahead of round 15. And tomorrow night, just woof. Leicester versus Leeds, first against third. It's Wayne Rooney's Birmingham versus Ipswich Town. Bristol City versus Sheffield Wednesday. Will there be a new manager in the dugout then, or at least announced? Leaky Huddersfield versus improving Watford. Managerless Millwall versus informed Southampton. And again, hats off to the Middlesbrough fans who went to Exeter 2 days back. I've got to go to Plymouth at the weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Oof. Preston versus Coventry. Another absolutely titanically huge gargantuan match. Look at that. 22nd versus 23rd. Rotherham v QPR. Informed Stoke v informed Cardiff. Swansea v Sunderland. West Brom v Hull. And if I turn over the page, you will see Norwich City versus Blackburn on Sunday. Let us know in the chat what your mouth-watering matchup is before we hear what ours is. No prizes for originality for this one then, Sam, but sometimes obvious is good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it tomorrow night, right? Leicester v Leeds.
Absolutely. And this, I mean, I've done a whole video already on this, so we'll put the ball over into your court. But this is brilliant. This would have been brilliant without where we are in the table.
Yeah.
But, and look, I know people say, oh, Ben, but it's your job to hype this up on a podcast and make it sound as exciting as possible. But this really, really is significant in terms of if Leicester win, it's a 17-point gap over Leeds. That's not something that you're going to come back from against, whatever chance you think they've got against this squad with the quality of Leicester's. And Leeds, if they're not chasing Leicester, they're chasing Ipswich. They can really, as I said in the video, cut the head off the snake and lay the gauntlet down. It's a big night tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge game, isn't it? Yeah, third of the season gone, 17 points at this stage. Insurmountable, really, isn't it?
I would think so.
when you think about how Leicester are going. I saw a tweet earlier. I haven't got the gentleman's name in front of me, but his thought process, his sentiment was 15 wins out of the remaining 32 gives you the average required for promotion out of the Championship. And I think he said they could afford to drop points in 9 games and still break that Reading record.
No way.
So
106,
was it 106, yeah.
So Reading 2006, 106 points. They need to get 107, obviously.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't know if it was with you, Ben, the other day, but I can name that Reading 11 pretty much, and that's the
team.
That's the frightening thing about this.
Did you play against them?
Yeah, played against them. Yeah, I think they absolutely bopped us at Ipswich. Did they not? I think it was the night. It was the night I got injured. It might have been the year before, the year after, maybe the year after. But yeah, I remember them winning at a canter at Portman Road the night I broke my ankle. Anyway, and the difference being right now is that you don't really know what the Leicester lineup will be. 7 or 8 of them, but there's multiple changes most games. Now they've got Cody in there, haven't they? So this is probably what Maresca anticipated them looking like start of the season. So yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game. Somerville up against whoever the inverted right back. I've kind of just earmarked as maybe an interesting battle, like I did prior to Jonathan.
I think it'll be Justin and Pereira, won't it? The fullbacks. And I think, Sam, that's the area of the pitch where the game's won and lost potential, or lost certainly, because Leeds, while they don't have Spence fit, essentially don't have fullbacks, and you just don't see weaknesses across the other 22 players in this matchup, do you?
Well, he's had Chowdhury there, hasn't he? Actually, I think for the last game, and he's
the one that centre midfielder, yeah.
And he's the one that played at Norwich when I was like, trying to pick holes in Leicester that night. They've made 5 changes. He's taking the mickey out of the Championship, and Chowdhury's playing inverted fullback, and then he absolutely strolled it. Like he was brilliant. So I still think Somerville 1-on-1 will fancy that up against him, someone who is a midfield player in essence. And yeah, if we flip to the other side of the pitch, Shackleton was back in at right back, wasn't he, after Archie Gray's played a few, and that would likely be up against Mabadidi head to head. So that's another fascinating battle. Whether they can get around Harry Winks, has anyone tried to do that? I think that would be no
one's got near him, have they?
It'd be a decent tactic, would it not? Just to stand on him and see.
I think we're in easier said than done mode there, aren't we?
Well, you're
basically sacrificing a striker, aren't you? To do that?
And maybe the whole thought process behind what we've just been saying is to get Harry Winks. You've got the 2 8s there, and then you've got an additional one coming in from the fullback position to give them the numerical advantage. So if Harry Winks can't dictate it, Chowdhury could probably do it anyway, couldn't he? So yeah, I think tactically it's going to be really interesting. But I just hope Leeds go and have a go, I suppose. And
it's Farker, of course they will.
Yeah, and the front players are at it, because I think they've lost 2 of the last 3, haven't they? I think they've only won 1 in the last 4 away from Ellen Road.
Really?
So the form has been patchy. Yeah, just that win at Millwall, I think. Having seen them at Southampton, and then they won at Norwich, didn't they? So my I think it is 1 win in the last 4 away. It's just a little bit muddled throwing Millwall into the mix there. But yeah, the away form has been patchy. And I thought that was probably going to be slightly easier, actually, to get that consistency where teams are open and going to play at your own game, in essence. So yeah, this should be a real open game, and can't wait for it. I might take it in its entirety on a Friday night. Eh?
And it's my missus' birthday tomorrow, Sam. So I will hit
she's
the
DVR.
She's
doing the watch along with you.
There will be no watch along if you know the respect I have for my...
Just sat to your right now of a nice fettuccine, a glass of Savvy B. Tremendous.
It's absolutely tremendous, but no. But if there's a big story, which we hope there will be, whichever way round, I will do something.
You'll bail out of the tiramisu to do what Ben noticed from the big Friday night fixture in the Championship.
I'll do it early on Saturday.
Hot takes.
Exactly, hot takes. Anyway, this is not all about me. This is all about me getting through this. We're so far behind.
Yeah,
this
me
week,
getting through this without me doing a horrendous innuendo, which was like coming there, wasn't it? It was right there.
It was, yeah. Right, let's move on to player to watch. Right, I'm going to make a public apology to Morgan Rogers of Middlesbrough, who's probably an honourable mention here. We already had a public apology to Stoke. We're recompensing a little bit here, Sam. Who is our player to watch?
Yeah, we had to get them in, didn't we? Let's be transparent about that, mate. We're going to go for Mehdi Laris, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly, of Stoke City.
I think you have. Yeah, he's a new one on me. Not been in the division very long. Sort of, I think he's Algerian, wide forward player. Looks very straightforward, nice and direct. I think we've seen him score goals in that big turnaround win they had over at Bristol City, and he's got another one against Middlesbrough last week. And I think, Sam, what Stoke really were looking for out of this big transfer window where it was 12 or 13 in is for, to not use an unfair phrase, but when you're throwing a lot of, you know what, at the wall, you want something to stick. And it just feels like this was one that's sticking, doesn't it? What's your take?
I think we could have probably pulled out a number of the Stoke City signings that have shown flashes. I just really like what he's done in the last couple of games. And yeah, I think the left-footed screamer on the angle at Ashton Gate was unfortunate not to get the top accolade of Worldie of the Week earlier in the season. So that was a left-footed finish. He finished beautifully off his right side at Middlesbrough the other day. He was actually played in for another chance. I think it was just prior to his goal. Hoover played the most delectable, does that work? Through ball you're ever going to see for him. It was poetry. And he just fluffed his lines actually in this one. But and the other goal was early doors in that 6-1 thumping of Rotherham in the EFL Cup. So they've all been really nice finishes. And I think more than anything, it's the endeavour, it's the attitude that's impressed me most. And I think the Stoke City fans as well, because you maybe anticipate with his CV, I think Chievo, Sampdoria, big money. I think to Sampdoria, only 25 years of age. So he's got really good pedigree, but maybe you expect him to come in and be a little bit of a luxury. And I think he's anything but. So I think the last couple of games really encouraging. Most touches out of the forward players at Borough, most dribbles, very direct, little bit erratic, maybe not as reliable kind of in the final third when they're managing the game. I think he can have a tendency to try things, but I think he looks battle hardened and that he's certainly up for the fight of the Championship. And I just wanted to say, Cardiff at home, Coventry away, Blackburn at home, QPR away. Next four.
If
then
they
go to
that on, I think
they go to Argyle, then Sheffield Wednesday at home.
Yeah, so it's 6 games and they play 4 of the bottom 6. But Sam, I'm not doing it. We've had this discussion before. I'm not getting behind Stoke. I can't do it because they'll do the opposite of what I expect. We now expect a nice run. And they're just going to do the opposite if we commit to that.
I want to say Stoke Centennial. I don't no idea if that's anything. Sounds like a paper or a website that I've read. But I'm sure that he said we've had a multitude of false dawns or something to like something of that ilk. Yeah. Let me just mention good old Jack Jones. Dean Garner was mentioned Winnie last week between us when we were doing our player to watch, whoever we gave the nod to last week, because I saw him against
Callum O'Hare. We went
Callum
for.
O'Hare, yeah.
Dean Garner scored in the game, didn't he?
And I saw him obviously against QPR, and he came to life in that second half. He looked really good. And nice composed. It was a tap in, wasn't it? But stuck it away well. One to watch definitely, because loved him a few years ago, and different profile and slightly older, I would suggest to Ruben Colwell, but just lost his way maybe a little bit in the last 12 months. So loads of ability, if anyone's going to get consistency out of him, it's probably Corberan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone shouting at him every minute of every living hour. No, I like him, but only right that Stoke got a little bit of a nod today.
100%. Right, we're going to move quickly on to our predictions. Right, Sam, we've got to rattle this fella. We're going to go through all 12 EFL Championship games for round 15 coming up. We'll rotate between the two of us. If you want to put your predictions in the chat, I'll click as many of them up as possible. Help me out. Try and go with the game that we're talking about at the moment. And if you can, write the teams in as well, rather than just score lines. And then doesn't look like I've got binary code coming up on my screen. I am going to happily pass over the big one to Mr. Parkin. Away you go. The mouthwatering matchup, Leicester versus Leeds. Good luck.
Yeah, I think it's pretty difficult to predict what Leeds are going to serve up. You know, given what I just said about some of those away performances, someone's beating me to it. I fancy them to get something. I do. I know that Leicester have only lost a Hull at home, haven't they? But just seeing that 5 out of the 7 home wins have been by the odd goal. Yeah, I'm not sure they'll get, I was going to say, the good fortune or the bit of rubber to green against Leeds. That's not the right terminology because Leicester are superb. We all know that. I just think Leeds will have a right go and there could be some madness afoot. 2-2.
Love it.
Birmingham, Ipswich. There we go, mate. Your boys.
I thought I was stitching you up. Can I play the long game, Sam? The Rotherham postponed game is on Tuesday. I will take 4 points from these 2 games. Little bit of a cup hangover. So I'm going to go for Birmingham 1, Ipswich 1. But don't yell at me, Ipswich fans. You know I'm on your side. Followed up by a win at Rotherham on Tuesday. Sam, Bristol City managerless or maybe not? We'll find out versus bottom club Wednesday.
Yeah, can someone put in the chat, or you can tell me now, Ben, who is in charge of Bristol City for the weekend? Do we know that? I just had a frantic...
Is it Curtis Fleming?
Well, Jason Yule's left, hasn't he? I didn't see Curtis
Someone
Fleming mentioned. No, because it was was it Dave Rennie or something? The doctor, head of physio department that's left as well. Curtis Fleming. There we go. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, he's part of Pearson's staff, isn't he? Listen, I think Sheffield Wednesday off the back of that win against Rotherham, bit of confidence, bit of momentum, another few days on the training ground to get some closer to knowing what the new manager wants. I'll go for a draw, 1-1, another draw. Huddersfield against Watford.
Not very high on Huddersfield at the moment, Sam. Higher on Watford, 8 points in 4 games. So I'm going to go for an away win here, and I'm going to go for both teams to score. Huddersfield most successful crosses in the division. I think that's just Silver Thomas on his own, isn't it? So I'm going to go for Huddersfield 1, Watford 2, which loads of people have stolen my thunder in the chat on. There we go. Millwall versus Saints.
Always one, isn't there? And this is it for me this week. Don't know.
Oh, is the curveball coming?
This is the curveball.
Here it comes.
I think, not necessarily glossy. That's probably the wrong terminology. If one of the gaffers that we were suggesting might take the Millwall gig is to be in the director's lounge. I don't think Nathan Jones is gloss, is he? But
he's matte.
They're scoring, aren't they, Millwall? And Southampton are on a good little run. But this is either going to be, in my mind's eye, total football and domination, or they will go under the first 20, 25 minutes. And I'm going to go for the latter. Millwall to win, 2-1. There's my curveball of the week. Down to Devon then, mate. Again, for Borough, Middlesbrough at Plymouth. I'll go.
Well, I saw Plymouth do everything they possibly could to win a football match at Ipswich last week and not win a football match. Middlesbrough, lots of travels for the club, not necessarily the first 11, but I am going to back Plymouth on the basis that just think they've got a very good manager and a couple of very good players and home advantage. So I'll go 2-0. No, not going to shut out Middlesbrough, are they? I'll do another 2-1. That's boring. 3-2. Oh, no, Plymouth haven't got... Hang on. Bundu and Hardy both went off. I'm pulling it back, Sam. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Desmond. Plymouth 2, Middlesbrough 2. I showed my working out there. Preston versus Coventry, our cause for concern, Sam.
Hey, I nearly got Plymouth at your place last week, didn't I? I told you it was going to be carnage. I knew it. 2-2 I went, didn't I? Right.
You weren't far, mate.
Not only had my own children today, but I had my sister's kids as well. And I still found myself going down a rabbit hole and watching a Ryan Lowe presser. And what was I like? What am I doing? There was a Spider-Man movie on in the background. Someone was asleep. Not someone. It wasn't like a neighbor or anything. One of my children was asleep. It was just mayhem. Anyway, I watched a bit, and he had a bit of a go, didn't he? Frocke Jensen, our mate who we spoke about earlier in the season, had a bit of a public pop at him. Not happy with, I think maybe the defensive or certainly some of the instructions that he's not been taken on board. So I thought that was a bit odd. They sound like they're in pretty...
May I just say, Sam, I saw him in the flesh. Did look like he had that flamboyant, temperamental side, I have to say.
Wow, that's what do we want if we don't want flamboyant, temperamental sides in professional football? You know what I mean? That's what we want. Listen, in the wake of what I said half an hour ago, I'm back in Robbins and the boys. I think Preston not 1 in 7. I think if Hadji Wright scores, this is the day. I'm going for a 2-1 Coventry win up at Deepdale. Rotherham against QPR. 18-pointer.
This is a 19-pointer. My God. Oh, my God. Well, is Cifuentes really going to get a bump straight away? If he does, that will reflect very badly on Gareth Ainsworth.
Can I just say that during that rabbit hole, I don't even know if that's terminology is correct, but I watched some very windy footage of his first session at QPR. He's not getting any tick-attacker done, by the way, this morning. So, yeah, his methods may take a little bit more time. I think the goals were blowing over.
I don't want to predict a draw because we want the drama, don't we? Go on. Cifuentes on debut. Rotherham 0, QPR 1. No logic behind that other than the narrative. Stoke versus Cardiff, Sam.
4 wins on the spin. I'm going for it. It was Watford they beat, didn't they? Marginally early part of the season. I'm seeing something similar here. Defence is on top. Stoke 1. Cardiff 0. Another set piece. There you go. Swansea against Sunderland, mate.
This one's hard to call, isn't it? If it was at home, I'd back Sunderland. Let's do a silly one. Swansea 3, Sunderland 3, and have this for your betting slip. Jack Clark to score a penalty during the game as well. Sam, I like this fixture. West Brom versus Hull. These are two people who have eyes on 5th or 6th place, don't they? And valid too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they got the result, didn't they, at Coventry? I don't think they played particularly well. Yeah, I don't love them, West Brom, but I do really rate the coach.
Me too.
I think they'll be too strong here. I think defensively they're so sound, aren't they? I haven't got the statistics in front of me, but is it 5 in 7 or something clean sheets? They're racking them up. They're looking pretty stingy in that regard. Still waiting for them to really click in that regard, but I think they're going forward. But I think they'll have enough defensively and find the goals. Love Jed Wallace. Love Dean Garner at the moment. So 2-0 home win. And that takes us on to Norwich Blackburn. Should have been me, shouldn't it? 1994 Premier League years.
Yeah, right. The Chris Sutton derby. David Wagner really needs to win this game. Really, really needs to win.
I believe he's on co-coms. I think I read that. Probably during that same spell this afternoon when I was hallucinating.
Oh, Sutton's on co-coms for this game, is he?
I think so, yeah.
I thought you said David Wagner is. I'm like, mate, he is busy with other stuff. He can't be commentating.
Can he keep his job by doing a stellar co-coms? That's what we all want to know.
I'm going to back him to get the win. I know the Norwich fans are going to go, Ben, what are you talking about? There's no logic behind that. Well, this is the Championship. Sam, you saw Blackburn play Chelsea last night, didn't you? I don't know how many of the first team were actually involved.
I don't think I've got any swearing on it. There is the team sheet.
Oh, he's literally got the team sheet there. There you go. I'm going to back Norwich then. Why the hell not? Norwich 1, Blackburn 0, muggy, tight. Important win for David Wagner. Right. We're going to go to Q&A in just a minute. But Sam, get your phone out because it's time for the week that was. The reason we've got to get our phones out is because Fev's Football Analytics at Fev's Football refused to send us the questions early because he thinks that we would cheat, which is very disrespectful, but that would happen. So big thanks to Fev, who gets our questions in every single week. Sam, you're not cheating, are you? What are you searching up?
I'm not cheating. I'm just scribbling down 2 answers.
Would you like to ask or answer first?
Ask me, so I don't have any more thinking time. Go on.
Okay. Right. Joining in the comments. See how many you can get. Evening all, no peeking. Your question for Sam. Can you name all 10 outfield players with the first name Sam? Oh, God, I've just realised what my question is now. Who've played in the Championship this season. This is horrible. You've already won because I'm going to be shocking at mine.
Oh, there's another one I've just got. No.
Right, I'm going to give you some clues for these.
No, I've got 3 off the bat.
Okay, who have you got?
Smodix.
He's not on here. I guess he's calling him Sammy.
Oh, right. I can't have a Sam, no?
No.
Oh, Gallagher.
Yes, that's 1.
Silvera.
Yes, that's 2.
Yeah.
Do you want some clues?
Field.
Yes, that's 3.
Johnson. No, he's at Palace now, is he?
Sam Johnston.
Johnston,
yeah,
is it?
Palace,
Palace now? Yeah, go on then. Give me a few clues.
Bristol City youngster. You can ring my
Sam Bell. Yeah, Sam Bell. Mickey Bell's son, right?
Yeah.
My era.
Leeds fullback.
Byram.
Ipswich's best player or most influential player.
Morsey.
Another Middlesbrough player online.
Greenwood.
Yep. Very expensive player for Swansea and Stoke, who's now ended up at Rotherham.
Clucas.
Teammate, you're one of your former clubs, striker for him, now at Rotherham.
Say that again.
A striker for one of your former clubs, who's now at Rotherham.
No, Rotherham, a striker.
Moved from Exeter.
Oh, not Stockley.
Sam Nombe.
No, I wouldn't have got that. Yeah,
Nombe.
Yeah, I knew that he's there. Yeah.
And the last one, Sam McCallum. I can't be bothered to give you a clue.
Sam McCallum is where's Sam McCallum?
He's at Norwich. I'm not going to look at the comment.
How many did I get then? Am I having 3?
You had 3 good ones. I'm not going to get any Bens if that's the question. But is that the question?
Your question is: can you name all 10 outfield players with the first name Ben who have played in the Champ this season?
Do you know? I don't even think I can name.
Well, go on. You got 3 to beat because you got a minute to get your 3.
Ben. I was going to say Ben Thompson, but he went to Pompey, didn't he? Ben.
They'll start to fly out when you get one.
Ben Pearson of Stoke.
There's one.
Ben Davies? No.
Oh, this is painful, isn't it?
I know. I'm terrible at this.
Coventry lad that I mentioned already today.
Chief.
Yeah, I'll give you that. My favourite holding midfielder,
Matt Grimes.
My favourite deep line midfielder who plies his trade for the aforementioned Ryan Lowe.
Ben Whiteman.
Another one with the same initials at Preston.
Ben.
Ex-Liverpool, I think.
Ex-Liverpool.
I think.
No, I'm not getting that.
Woodburn.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, he is ex-Liverpool.
Swansea defender scored in the derby, I think.
Ben Cabango.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any points.
Rotherham's best player under Paul Ward.
Ben Wiles.
Yeah. One of the struggling Norwich centre-halves.
Ben Gibson. When you give me the clues, I can name them all.
Yeah. I like this lad. Ex-Watford, Swansea, kind of ball playing.
Ben Wilmot.
Yeah. I think he's an Aussie striker in Devon.
Ben Wayne. I saw him play on the weekend.
And I'm really sorry, Ben Jackson at Huddersfield, but my mind's gone blank.
Oh, no.
Ben Jackson at Huddersfield? Sorry,
well, I well and truly sucked at that. It's amazing when the pressure goes on. You look loads there. I'm literally just reading the comments now, and yeah, everyone's.
That was just people shouting at the screen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everyone.
I
thought that was good fun to do.
Love it that Ben Thompson was your first thought. There you go. There's a shout for Ben Dover in there. It's childish. Wally Duff. Dear oh me.
Ben Dover, that is vintage.
If Feb's in the chat and can put the scores up, Sam won again. Febs says it's an honourable draw. Are you having that? So you're protesting that decision?
Take the point. Take the point. Okay. Windy, wet in it. You know,
it's
tough to play good football.
It is tough. I'm dragging you down to my level, aren't I? Right, very quickly. I think we've clawed back a little bit of time, so we will do some Q&A. Get your questions in. Right now, Sam, are you commentating this weekend anywhere, or where can we find you next commentating?
Oh, do you know what? I'm doing Bromley against Blackpool in the FA Cup.
What channel is that on?
Talk Sport.
Nice.
Talk Sport. It's 5:30 kickoff, actually. Yeah, and Bromley. I haven't started my prep yet, but Bromley are third National League, I think, under Andy Woodman, goalkeeper. But I think he's pretty experienced at that level. So it's almost one of those encounters where you think it probably wouldn't be a surprise if they beat Blackpool. Do you know what I mean? Especially if the weather sticks around. Well,
check out Sam on TalkSport for Bromley and Blackpool. Make sure you hit like if you're watching the show here. 5-star review, all of this good stuff. Follow Sam on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Now, get your questions in. It is Q and A time. Oh, right, here we go. We're not banning Wally Daft after his bend over comment. I'll read his question anyway. We've had a chance to play in another country. Which would you have chosen?
What, realistically? I'd have loved to have gone to the States at the end. Yeah, I tried actually. Austin McPhee is a good anecdote for you. Austin, who's the chap with a similar mane to yours, Ben, who
Lucky
is
boy.
the Aston Villa's coach, set piece specialist. You would have seen him. He worked at Northern Ireland with Michael O'Neill. He's had a couple of other high-profile jobs. He was a St Mirren coach when I was playing up in Scotland and had good links in the States. Had actually done a lot of work over there previously, and he tried to get me over there, actually. So I spoke to a couple of clubs, but it just never materialised. And for personal reasons, I wanted to get back to the South as well. So never happened, but definitely I fancied the States. And yeah, I always really admire the players that go abroad and play. And I know it's happening more now. I even admired Joey Barton when he went to Marseille. And that is difficult for me to say.
Colin, does Sam think Ipswich Town will be okay for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we said it over the last couple of weeks. Just those defensive frailties are the one little question mark, I suppose, in my mind. And it's happened a few times, hasn't it? But they can't be perfect every week. We spoke about it on last week's podcast. I think January is going to be really interesting as well. I mean, that's going to be a real line in the sand kind of moment, isn't it? If they do double down on this potential double promotion by adding a little bit more depth. I'd be really surprised if if they didn't go up this year, to be honest. Now, and I'm not saying really surprised is maybe a bit strong. I'd be surprised if they didn't go up this year now. And that's whether it's via second position or via the playoffs. I think already, similarly to how I was waxing lyrical last year, I knew they were going to make it last year. I got ridiculed, I think, at one point by saying they're the best team in the division. Ridiculed.
That's sensible. You should be ridiculed, frankly.
No, but like an Argyle fans probably had, a decent argument. They finished above Ipswich, didn't they? But I think I was just saying, in terms of the work that McKenna had done, the type of football that was on display. They went on a scintillating run. I don't know how it matched up to Argyle kind of post-Christmas, but I just thought they were brilliant last year. And nothing's changed really in that regard. If anything, they're better at the moment, clearly division up. So it'd be a surprise to me if they don't see it through now.
This could be fun. What would be your Leeds and Leicester mixed 11?
Love it.
Right.
Love it. Right.
Hermanson in goal. I think Roden and Cody, the two centre backs.
Are you a massive Cody fan? Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was a massive fan, but I'm putting him in there.
I mean, the lads at Leicester that have played that maybe the supporters were a little bit worried about. Done amazingly, and Vestergaard. Yeah. No.
Okay, you want to put one of those in?
No. Cody and Rodon.
Okay. We can't put Spence in yet because he hasn't really played, but it'll probably be him in the end. So I think it's going to be both the Leicester fullbacks. I think it's Justin and Herrera.
Yeah. I'm not. I know Byron's really steady away, but I'm not a massive fan. And he's a right footer playing left back. And I said it. Maybe it was just circumstantial, but at Southampton they hardly got over the halfway line, the two Leeds fullbacks. So I think that's probably in my opinion, their weakest area.
Winks and Ampadu. Actually, let's go 4-3-3. Winks, Ampadu, and Dewsbury Hall. Yeah.
No, I'm not having a double pivot. Taking too long here. I need two that can get me a goal in there.
Go on then.
4-3-3. Now I want to
4-2-3-1.
Yeah, 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1 will have Winks and Ampadu. That's perfect, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, 4-2-3-1 will have Winks and Ampadu. And then Dewsbury Hall was the 10.
Yeah. But that means you can't have Piru. And you've got to pick either Vardy or Rutter. They're very hard calls, aren't they?
Yeah.
Over the season, I'd pick Rutter, but for a one-off game, I'd pick Vardy.
Yeah, I think you may be right. Yeah,
and Mavadidi.
I think at the moment I'd want Piru and Rutter in there somehow.
But you've got to pick Vardy, surely.
No. Really?
Unbelievable.
No.
For one-off game, you wouldn't pick Vardy?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Cup final, playoff final tomorrow. You're going to pick Vardy, aren't you? Surely.
I'm still confused as to where Piru's playing and where Rutter's playing after 15 minutes.
Daniel Fark did a bloody 10-minute explanation of where Piru's playing.
The thing is, I think it's the wrong way round. Honestly, I do after the last game. Oh, mate, when you put it like that, yeah, okay, Vardy for the one-off game. Over the course of the season, I'd probably have the other two in. I'll probably have the other two in tandem. That's my honest truth. Yeah, definitely Mavavidi.
Brilliant, hasn't he?
Mavavidi on one side, and then you're gonna have to play Somerville.
Yeah.
On his unnatural side, if you know what I mean. He likes to be inverted, doesn't he? So there, your two wide boys. Job done.
Yeah, job done.
So we're leaving out
Piru for Dewsbury Hall. I can't even think who we picked anyway, but job done. It's a good debate, isn't it? Right, last one here, Stevie. Do you think it's a fair reflection with the brand of and style of football Argyle play under Schumacher that 19th is a fair reflection? Two fair reflections in there, Stevie. On performances alone, that's a big fat no for me. I thought they were really good against Ipswich, and I cannot for the life of me understand why they can't win away.
Yeah, I feel like I want to give you like a really balanced argument here, but I can only go on what I've seen when I've watched them live, and they're really good, I think.
Yeah, I thought they were excellent. I thought Whittaker's goal was amazing. I thought the tactics were really spot on. I thought the counter attack really well. I don't understand why they got 0 away wins.
No, I can concur. And obviously, the last time I saw them was the Southampton game, which was quite a while ago now at Plymouth Argyle. But they certainly didn't deserve to lose on that occasion. So I think they'll be absolutely fine. And I've been saying that since they got promoted. And I think it's one of the predictions that I'm probably going to get right.
Right. This is a tremendous question to finish. We'll do it really quickly. We'll do one each. Toby, top 5 English derbies. Shall I start?
Well, I did this the other day on Talk Sport, but
you didn't, did you?
No, kind of.
Let's do one. Let's do one each.
Obviously not, but can we have Cardiff Swansea?
If you want, yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Oh, I know what he means, isn't it? It's an English league game.
Yeah.
So you're going for Cardiff Swansea.
Cardiff Swansea's in there, 100%. Yeah.
Aston Villa Birmingham. I'll put in
100%. Villa Birmingham. You've put in Arsenal Spurs.
Okay. I want a really hateful one. A real.
I think there's one more in my
Man United Liverpool. I reckon.
Do you think?
You don't like that? Well, what do you think?
I go Newcastle Sunderland.
Yeah,
I think so. Because how can you have you survey Les Dennis, 100 people outside Old Trafford. What your biggest derby?
I'm thinking about Amanda Holden now.
What's your biggest derby? You're only getting 60-40 saying Liverpool over City, 70-30. You ain't getting a conclusive answer there, my friend. I know that's only one argument. I know there is clearly a lot of hatred there. But you ask 100 Newcastle fans what the derby is and Sunderland fans, you know the answer, right? Oh, good one coming in there. Really good one coming in there.
Looking at the chat, if you ask 100 fans, they'll just pick the derby of the team they support as the best one.
Do you know what
I would care about the most? This is the end of the podcast, Sam. What's the good shout in the chat?
I'm just going to say there's my 5, right? Cardiff, Swansea, Villa, Birmingham. Totally agree with you there. Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, Sunderland. I mean, it's really hard not to have the Manchester derby or the Manchester Liverpool game in there. I'd go Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday.
I went to
but I think Portsmouth,
Southampton both 0-0.
I think Portsmouth, Southampton's a really good shout. I mean, I think Watford, Luton, Ipswich, Norwich, Plymouth, Exeter. Honestly, really good games. But I just think the size of the city, blue and white, red and white, Sheffield derby. Yeah, I like that. To
be fair, there was that brilliant moment where Mark Duffy scored that gets played over and over again, where Sheffield Wednesday scored and then Sheffield United immediately scored after. And yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. Guys, we've got to wrap up. We've gone way, way over. And I promised the lads at the Blue Monday podcast, they started at 8, that we wouldn't go up against them. And we have now for 17 minutes. So,
sorry, chaps.
If you do want to head over to the Blue Monday podcast, if you're watching on the live stream now, they're previewing Ipswich versus Birmingham over there. All that remains for me to do is give everybody a huge thank you for watching live. If you listen after the fact, you're not going to jump over to another podcast that's already happened, but you could listen to it after the fact, couldn't you? Sam, last word from you this week on Championship check-in.
Loved it. Thanks, everyone, for watching all the comments. Yeah, I think it's really growing, Ben. Thoroughly enjoy my Thursday evenings with you and everyone watching on. Great stuff. Loved it.
See you next week.